Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. My goodness, talk about news bomb after news bomb. What a morning to wake up to. Well, Phil Spencer out there welcoming in 40 new regions for Xbox Game Pass PC. Everyone is now questioning what is on Phil Spencer's shelf. It didn't look like it changed much, to be honest with you, even though I thought that the sword was from Avowed, but it turns out me and Psychonauts were wrong because that was there for years. So we're getting excited for no reason. Folks, we have new information. Sony out there just doing their damnedest. Hey, folks, guess what? They are giving stacks and stacks of information to the gamers lawsuit that refiled trying to block the APK deal, which at best is ridiculous. We have Redfall footage shown by IGN that unfortunately set off an ugly narrative to one of the biggest games releasing this year, one of the biggest Xbox exclusives releasing. A lot of gamers are asking how and why something so prominent as Redfall from Arkane Studios could be uploaded by one of the biggest news media conglomerates in gaming at 1080p. I don't know what happened. The conspiracy hat is on. But again, you know, we saw the same thing happen. Retri, you made mention of it in the green room. They did the same thing to Doom. They made one of the fastest games in the world look like the slowest turtle. And then, and of course, thanks to Umbra, told us that they gave it a 7.1. So I'm imagining that I don't know what's happening at IGN, but I think Microsoft needs to have someone on hand before they are allowed to do anything on their own, because they just cannot handle doing the right thing by Xbox. If this was PlayStation, it would have been a red royal treatment. But it seems like Xbox, second-class citizen for IGN. I mean, that's the best thing I got. But Retri, how you doing, brother? Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you, Boom. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat, for coming out today. I almost said tonight. I'm tired. I've been watching Attack on Titan. Thanks to these two, I can't stop watching it. I'm staying up till like 3 o'clock in the damn morning watching this thing. I literally am not watching anything else. So
the anime you're watching.
Anime, yeah. I blame these guys. But yeah, I'm doing good. Happy to be here and happy to talk about these topics. And I'm gonna crap over IGN today. So let's go.
Well, you know what? When the shoe fits, you know, time to wear it. I am gonna make an anime suggestion to you as a friend. At some point in your anime watching, you need to watch one of the greatest animes ever made, and that is the Guyver. Biosuit, Bio Armor, the Guyver.
What am I crazy? Did they make a live action movie?
It was
of
awful.
The Guyver?
Okay. It was awful.
I actually remember kind of liking it as a kid. Right? It had the cool weapon.
Yeah, you got to watch the anime. It's so good. The movies, the live action movies, and Mark Hamill, no less.
Yeah,
not so great.
Right? Yeah,
that's so great.
All right. Yeah, we're showing our age right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're definitely old, no doubt about it.
I didn't even know there was an anime on that. I'll have to watch
it. It's so good. Definitely check it out.
Add it to my
Umbra, what you and Daniel have a show launching this Thursday. We will get more into that towards the end of the show. But how the heck are you? And are you surprised by the IGN antics once again? It's shocking to me that Microsoft continues to work with them. I don't think that they're owed anything being the biggest one when they don't respect the work that goes into making these games. Like I said, it seems to me at every turn that IGN treats Xbox like a second-class citizen. I'm sorry. I'm not the only one thinking that. Umbra bounced out. He was having issues. Daniel, how you feeling, brother? Take the question. Let's hear your snarkiness, if you will. We're not talking Nintendo. We're talking IGN. So let's get to it. I mean, how you feeling, and are you surprised by an upload as poor as 1080p, representing a game that comes out in less than a month? I just think that it's IGN doing what IGN does, and I don't understand why they're allowed to continue to do it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't really surprise me. It's not I don't know. It's one of those situations where it's like, I think they probably just hit upload and did what it like. I don't think they did it like maliciously to be like, well, we got to bury this
I do.
game. I think
I
that they
agree.
were just like, we're gonna just put this up and whatever.
Oh, I have some
You know?
conspiracy. I'm going to run to the kitchen and wrap my head in aluminum foil in a second, folks, live on the air like Crazy Lou. But yeah, I mean, it's odd, Daniel. It's just odd.
I think it was probably just for whatever reason, it was like the easy, like lazier way to do it or something. Or maybe it was something to do with the way that they were able to capture it, that like they weren't able to capture it at 4K or something. Like there's a lot of different things that could have been contributing to why it's at a lower a lower resolution.
Yeah, I'll push back on that one big time.
I mean, it's all possible. It's just, I think the bigger concern is that it is what people are really complaining more about with that is that the gameplay of that Rook fight doesn't look super exciting. And I think that's, I mean, the resolution isn't going to change that one way or the other. I do think it's probably going to be a little bit more fun than that because we always have to adjust for the game journalists like curve because game journalists.
Well, we're actually going to get in. We're going to specifically get into that because look, folks. I'm going to say this. There is a certain responsibility that you, as a journalist, or as a company, or as a podcaster, or a community member, is supposed to uphold. And I am sorry to say, when you are previewing a platform's big first-party exclusive, I mean, listen, what you see on the screen, this surprised everyone, and it's still right up there in my Game of the Year conversation, okay? But we're not talking Hi-Fi Rush. We're talking about Redfall. Redfall is from a studio that the last game that they released was at the top list of every journalist from here to Texas and back of Game of the Year quality in Deathloop. And more times than not, this thing, and again, I didn't enjoy Deathloop. I played it on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox. I got a couple hours into both playthroughs, and I just realized it wasn't for me. Okay, not every game is for every gamer, but here's the thing. When you are giving a first look, okay, now we've seen Redfall here, there, and everywhere. So I know the game is going to be a banger, okay? But when you have IGN, which is a lot of the normie community goes to, and they see someone playing the game that looks like they're using their right thumb on their left hand and their left thumb on their right hand, that's a problem. My question is, where was Ryan McCaffrey to do the preview on this?
Yeah.
The biggest Xbox guy on the payroll. Okay, that's what I want to know. And again, this is going to sound like I hate to bring the negativity into the show, and I know it's going to be Redfall is going to be a banger. It's Arkane; they don't miss. But my God, that preview was awful. And uploading it in 1080p. Daniel says the lazy way. How is Xbox allowing them to show off one of their biggest first-party games in a shit way? I don't understand it. But look, let's open up with that. We're already on board. The ship is already sailing through troubled waters. Retro, I want to go to you first on this because you said we're going to get to Daniel's opinion because Daniel has some great things to say. And he's right. It might be just, press F1 and I just load it and then go back to playing my PlayStation 5. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But if that does if something similar or as ridiculous as that happened, there is a problem that Microsoft needs to address and stop allowing IGN to tell your story the way that they want to. That's my problem. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. I agree with Daniel. I don't actually think. I agree with both of you. All right, I agree with half and half. I agree with Daniel in the fact that, I don't think this was malicious. I don't think it was done
I don't think it's
purpose.
Malicious at all. No.
You know what I mean? But that doesn't matter, right? The message is out there, and that's where I agree with you, Boom. Like, that's the problem. Microsoft didn't handle the curated message for Redfall. We saw gameplay by a guy who clearly is not good at a first person, shooter type of game. And like, I was watching the footage. We talked about this on our show on Gamers Council Live on Sunday, and it almost felt like everything this guy could do wrong, he was doing wrong. Using the handgun as a sniper and using the sniper as a handgun, like basically like every scenario he's doing the exact wrong thing. It's almost like it was the first time he's played video games. I know that's BS, right?
Right.
I agree that why didn't IGN have somebody that probably like might enjoy this game playing this game? They're fighting the boss, they're fighting the rook, and they're going inside the building to trap themselves. Who the friggin' does that? Why would you do that? In what scenario would you do that? You're supposed to be like setting traps for this guy, and you corner yourself. It's so weird. And then the guy starts like lock picking like a house. I don't know if he was trying to get like in the middle of the boss fight. I don't know if he was trying to get more things to use. Maybe, I've looked at the footage a bunch of times, and I'm just like, maybe I'm just being like over the top, jumping on this guy because the IGN intern, was given the sticks to play this, or Jim Ryan himself. I don't know, but I've watched this a bunch of times, and the gameplay is so bad. And the 1080 thing, that's something that bugs me, at least as like a techie guy. There's no effing excuse for that. Literally none. If I can do it on my crap rig at home and get 8K, IGN that puts out 4K content more than anybody can certainly push this out in 4K. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for that. That one's a little weird to me. You can have someone who can't play the game. That's fine. Like, whatever. But Microsoft, stop giving these guys the reins. Stop letting them advertise the stuff for you. If a Microsoft guy saw this and let this go out, that's on Microsoft, dude.
Yeah,
like
100%.
that should have never seen the light of day. Why are we talking about this? Like, what are we talking about when we see Colt's footage, right? And everyone's like, Colt's footage looked way better because it was curated. Because it's curated and it's highly edited, and Cole and all the content creators that went to the Redfall thing got a bunch of different footage. And keep in mind, guys, too, this is so easy. Like I was telling Boom in the green room, I can take any game and make a crappy game and make it look good. As long as I have enough footage, it can be done, right? It's what trailers do all the time. That's how they fool you to go to the movie theaters. It's the same thing. So Colt, from what we're hearing, and I said this on Sunday, I don't know if this is 100% verified. What we're hearing is that they all got curated clips from Arkane from someone else's gameplay, which as a montage is going to look better versus the IGN guy who's playing, one little boss battle for 5 minutes in the exact same spot. But that doesn't take away the fact that it just should have never seen the light of day, in my opinion. Like, you got to control the message, Microsoft. Stop giving it to IGN. There are plenty of other outlets out there that would love to do their own like first look of Redfall. So give it to someone else. It's gonna.
You know what?
I'd
like to get that opportunity. How about that?
Give it to any Give it to someone that's got a huge following on YouTube. Give it to an ACG. Give it to a Skill Up. Give it to anybody but IGN. If they're gonna continue to do this to you, you're not learning your lesson. Stop putting your hand on the stove and stop keeping it there. You know what I mean? How many times are you gonna let them kind of screw you? That's kind of how I feel about this, Boom. And it's just so bad. The gameplay is just bad, in my opinion.
Look, here's Nick's in the chat who's here almost every show. So Nick's welcome, brother, as always. He says what if that is? He says, what if the game is actually what it appears to be? And I have to say
there's a possibility.
There's always a possibility of that. But here's where Nick's to kind of push back on that a little bit. Everywhere that we have seen this game outside of IGN, it looked amazing. Now, I'm not suggesting, folks, live on the air here, that the evil IGN is going out of their way to screw Microsoft on purpose. Now, some people will say, no, boom, that has to be the case. I don't think I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. My tinfoil hat is only like about this high instead of like being like this high, right? But there is something to be said, folks, about IGN's handling of anything PlayStation. It seems like the white gloves go on, right? For anything PlayStation. They come out, they roll out the carpet, 3 people come and they bring that, the 3 people are holding together as they walk together the thumb drive so it doesn't get damaged on the way up to the studio where they're going to upload the Sony footage. And then when it comes to Microsoft, they're like, yeah, just drop it in the box. I'm going to be down for it in a minute. And 3 hours later, it's still sitting in the box. I'm just saying that's what it appears. And this is not the first time.
Like Tando is saying in the chats, like, maybe this is just the game. And you know what? But that's not the conversation. That's not what I'm talking about right now. You could be right. The game could be mid, whatever, as the kids say. But what I'm talking about is not as Microsoft marketing not allowing this to happen. Because Sony and Nintendo, no effing way they would allow this to happen. Make no mistake, this wouldn't have happened with them. Period. So that's where I have a problem with, at least on the marketing side. I hope the game's good. I think the game's going to be good. Literally everyone who has seen this that came from away from that Redfall showing when they brought everyone over to see it said it looked great. I couldn't. It was so hard to find any negativity around this game, and then IGN first comes out. So I don't know. It's take it with what you will. You could be right, Tando. Like, it could just be a mediocre game. Maybe it is, but that's not what I'm talking about right here. I'm not just talking about the game itself. I'm talking about the messaging. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's something to be said about a game. Look, folks, let's be real here. Okay? I said this in the green room, and I'll say it to you folks live on the air as we close in on 400 people here. There is something to be said about current journalism. Okay? It is a younger crowd.
It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's drop an F-bomb. It's fine, because that's how serious this is. It is. Journalism today is not the same journalism of a decade ago. And I'm not being the old man in the room here, folks. I'm being completely honest. There is a subset generation of journalists that are currently employed that have grown up only playing on PlayStation. And there is something to be said about this PlayStation generation only wanting to play one place. Now, if that's you, good on you. But there is something that is called journalistic integrity. And when you are working for a publication, it is your responsibility to go out and give a fair review of a game based on the game that you're playing, regardless of what platform it is exclusive to. And that is not the fact, and that is not going to happen for Redfall. Redfall could potentially be as good or better than Deathloop. And I'm telling you right now, Deathloop got those scores not just because it was a good game, because I didn't like it. I just did not get it. It just didn't click with me, and that's fine. Not every game is for every gamer, folks. Yep. If I was reviewing it, I would have probably given it about a 7.5 or an 8 because it didn't resonate with me. But I would have done it fairly. There is something to be said about a reviewer reviewing Redfall and saying, well, it's a good game, but it's not on my platform, so it's whatever. So I'm going to give it a lower score. Someone right now, some journalist right now is sitting somewhere that is going to review this game in a couple of weeks and has already taken a point to 2 points off because it's not on PlayStation. And it should have been, according to the IGN article, that said that there was a version in development, and Microsoft said, nope, nix that. We own the company now. F Sony. And they were right to do that. But listen, Daniel, I want to bring you in, and I want to use an article that I pulled from DualShockers, of all places.
Yeah. It's bad when DualShockers is calling out IGN.
Yeah,
after
see,
they just
that's
crapped all over Xbox. You know something's up when DualShockers, who's been crapping on Xbox for months now, is
Yep.
going after IGN in an article.
Yes, and I have that article in front of me, Daniel. And they do it politely, not to piss off IGN, because I'm sure they don't want to be blackballed by IGN. But this is the title of the article, folks, that I got from DualShockers, was written 3 days ago. Was published by Mohammed Hassan. He's one of the writers there. He says Redfall's latest gameplay trailer is getting a lot of hate on YouTube. It's hard to fall for the charm of Redfall. And it goes on to say this, folks. A recent YouTube gameplay video of the highly anticipated Redfall on IGN First, a monthly show featuring exclusive game previews, has attracted a considerable amount of negative dislikes and critical comments. The players are currently divided into two camps. The astonished group, those who are surprised by the lackluster performance of the player, and the disappointed group, those who are appalled by the shoddy quality of the game itself. It says here, I'm going to read you some of the comments, folks. Why are you fighting a giant boss in a cramped house? Why are you now running away from the boss and shooting ads while your team gets killed? Why are you lock-picking a door mid-combat instead of rezzing teammates? Why are you throwing your translocator and then not using it? Why are you sniping the enemy 3 feet in front of you? Why did you take the killing blow when you barely contributed to anything? Now, this was the player from IGN that was, like I said, he was playing as if his thumbs had been switched on his body. Now, they go on to say, unfortunately, all of this could have been seen very clearly in the video, and others chimed in with more problems, such as the player missing shots against a boss that was walking in a straight line and pulling a sniper literally in front of the boss. While we're not writing this to make fun of our fellow journalists, we have to admit, as many pointed out, that this is just not a good example on how to promote a game a month before its official release. Daniel, now again, DualShockers, the name should spell it out for you. They are a Sony first, brand, which is perfectly fine. I don't use them a lot, but I've read their stuff, and some of the stuff is bombastic, and some of the stuff is just it's okay. But for them to come out and say exactly what we're saying, this is not a good example on how to promote a game a month before its release when they have been given what they tout as an IGN first. This is a failure of IGN. And I don't want to even dare say it might be a failure of Xbox. Someone allowed this to happen.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
Here's the thing, right? Is like all those comments that you read, right? All of the why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Not a single one of those was saying the game looks bad. Like every single one was saying, why are you doing this?
I get. Yes,
other stupid.
There was plenty of that, Daniel.
Right.
Plenty of that. It's just that's what they highlighted and their DualShockers thing. There was a ridiculous
and that's going to happen with every game, right? Especially any sort of console exclusive, whether it's PlayStation, Xbox. There's always going to be somebody talking mess about it. My thing is, I look at the gameplay, and it's like, yeah, the guy who's playing it isn't doing a good job or whatever, but you shouldn't have to do a good job. You shouldn't have to be really good at games to play the game, right? And so you shouldn't have to be really good at games to review the game, because most of the people who play it aren't going to be good at it. So it's fine. I don't think it really matters. I think you look at that Rook fight, and you're like, yes, this looks like a pretty decent boss fight in a Borderlands or a Far Cry type game, right? And then you also take into consideration the fact that the Rook fight, from what we've been told, is a fight that can just happen anywhere. It triggers whenever you fill up a bar to a certain amount, and then he comes after you. So it's not even in a discrete location or a curated boss arena type situation. So it's not. I look at that and I'm just like, so he's basically just a big enemy type, right?
Mm-hmm.
A discrete boss fight. And I look at the gameplay and I'm like, it looks fine. Like, this is basically what I was expecting from this game. Like, yes, the guy playing it isn't doing a good job, but the guy who played Cuphead wasn't doing a good job either, and, like, Cuphead was still great. So, I don't know, like, I don't think that they did anything malicious. I don't think that they were, like, wrong for sending this particular person to do it, because I assume that the reason that they did that is because everyone else was busy. Like, you have to keep in mind that the time that this preview was happening, there's so much going on. Like, you listen to any of the podcasts for like IGN or whatever, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we were all over the place." Like, even over at Kind of Funny, they've got like 6-7 people who would go and play these sorts of things, and they couldn't even do their normal weekly shows the way that they wanted to, because everyone was off doing different preview events across the globe, right? So it's like, I totally get it. Like, I genuinely, I don't think it's a big deal. I think the game's going to come out and it's going to perform as well as it's going to perform. It's on Game Pass, so it's going to get that word of mouth boost. I'm really not concerned about it. I think the game itself still looks fine, and it's like, yes, the guy who was playing it was bad at it, but I don't think that that's going to have a huge impact on like the game. You know what I mean?
Look,
You mean on
I mean,
sales or just like the game, like the gameplay itself?
The gameplay itself. Like, I don't think,
I agree.
like, I think people who go into the game are still going to have the same amount of fun. Like, it's not.
Do not boo this man. He's making good points.
There's definitely.
No, I mean, I understand. I understand where you're coming from.
You don't have to agree with him, but that's fine.
No. I understand that. You know, I'm not suggesting that this was done on purpose, because that is a conspiracy hat that I'm not
either.
Yeah. What I'm saying though is, again, there is something to be said about a responsibility to a game that is releasing in less than a month, that you as a big conglomerate have you have a responsibility to show this game at its best. And that's not what happened. See, that's, to me, the inherent problem here.
Exactly.
You are given a gift. Okay, because of the size of IGN. You're given this gift of a game that we all here want to play and we can't play. Hell, as big as much growth as the channel has had, I wasn't invited. And do I feel a type of way about it? No, because I'm still a small YouTube channel. But what I would have done to be able to get to play Redfall before everyone else, I would have made it my due diligence that when I put my video out, if the game would have been mid, I would have come out and said the game is mid. I'm not getting paid by Microsoft, folks, but I have seen the game, and I don't think it's mid because it's everything that I like in those types of games. First of all, the fact that I can play the single player and multiplayer whenever I want is amazing. And the minute you say that it has bosses and it's Far Cry like, you can go around and you know, save these areas, that's like right up my alley. It's exactly what I love doing. So for me, it's already check. But I'm just saying that when you are this is what drives me crazy. We're not, if I do a preview of a game and I don't have the best video equipment, it's because my channel is small and I'm running, you know, on a mid-range PC, right? And you're like, well, maybe we shouldn't have given it to Boom because he didn't do that good of a job. But this is IGN, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They got the resources. This is why like, the 1080p thing is so weird to me, dude. If I can freaking do it, why can't IGN do it? I can do it right now. I can get off this podcast and do it right now. If I can do, I know Daniel, I know you're laughing, but come on, dude.
Uploaded at 1080. You know what I mean? Because probably not. I would be willing to bet that a ton of the stuff that they've uploaded is at 1080, and that's just what they do. And I think it's
I don't know, man.
Maybe it saves some time. Maybe it's just the lazy way to do it. I don't think that they're like, yeah, we're really gonna mess up Redfall on this one. Like, I don't think.
I'm not suggesting
Daniel,
that.
That's not what we're saying. We're saying it's the fact that it happened, not that there's some weird thing that IGN is doing on purpose. I don't believe that. I just on the side of Microsoft needs to, I think, curate who the hell they're giving this stuff to if they're going to continuously do crap like this. You know what I mean? Like how many times are you not going to learn the lesson before you pull it from IGN?
1080p, but there's no arguing that IGN is the biggest place to put this stuff. Like, more people are going to see stuff.
But here's and again, you're not wrong, Daniel. But this is where I'm going to use what you just said as my.
You mean kind of like the VGAs,
point.
Daniel? You mean
Like
exactly like the VGAs?
Yeah, and then you skip the
What
VGAs.
what you're saying,
platform?
Daniel, is that this is the biggest place, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's going to get millions of eyes because they have millions of subscribers to their YouTube channel and to Twitter, right? So that's
He's
what you're
right.
saying, and
Yeah.
I agree 1,000%. But here's the problem: when you have that many people, what you have now just did is put a huge weight on top of Redfall. First of all, it's already at a disadvantage because it's an Xbox exclusive. What makes that even exacerbated is the fact that it was this IGN broke the story that it was in development for PlayStation, and Microsoft said nix to that, right? So it has that negativity on it. And then instead of doing your due diligence to show this new game, this new exclusive IP that you have been given to show off, to take your best ability and show it off so your viewers can see what this game's about. They do it in the most half-hearted, half-cocked way, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything that you've said is true. Like, they should have done a better job with it. My only point is that what I'm saying is just, I don't know that it's like, I think the game still looks fun. You know what I mean? Even in that
Yeah,
gameplay,
so do
I think
I.
the game still looks fun, right? Like, the guy playing it is doing a bad job. Like, he's probably not like their go-to shooter guy. I mean, I don't know who the
Right.
I don't know who the player in the gameplay is, so I'm not calling anybody out. So, like, yeah, he's not, but I also pretty much guarantee that a lot of the people who play the game are also not going to be great at it. Like, I'm not going to be great at it. So it's like,
Right, but we're not supposed to,
it's
Daniel.
not the like the
You know,
top tier
this is
representation,
IGN
and it
versus
probably
you.
should be from IGN. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, that is the game. So if that's what the game is, then it's fine. Like it should be more, but I'm not mad about it. It's just like, yes, this is the gameplay that this person captured, and like I wish it was better, but it's not. So here it is. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that when you're IGN, you are supposed to put your best foot forward, and I feel
Right.
like this came out like a wet fart. I'm sorry.
I,
That's
don't,
just,
I love you,
Realistically, they
Daniel,
should
but
have
you
sent, like,
cannot
Stella
compare.
or Miranda. Like, they would have done a better job because they're like go-to shooter people. I think they're the people who split up the Call of Duty thing. I think one did campaign and one did multiplayer. Like, I think those are their go-to shooter people from what I've understood. Unless it's like a Destiny. I think someone else does the Destiny stuff.
that would be
Probably
Destin Legary
yeah.
if it was
So,
Destiny.
you
Yeah.
get the name for it. So like, I think that they probably should have sent someone better for it. And like, yeah, IGN made a mistake here for sure. I just don't think it's going to bury Redfall. Like, I think Redfall.
Oh no, I don't
No,
think
I
it's
don't
going to
think so.
bury it. I'm just saying that what it does is it really does. When you have a game coming out, it's Microsoft's big IP, or at least one of the big ones that is expected for this year. And yes, Arkane and Bethesda and Xbox have had numerous events with this game. So there's no doubt that we have seen this game, which is why I know it's going to be good. But when you turn around and you have what is considered the biggest gaming media conglomerate of the industry showing your game in the most shit way possible, it does do potentially irreparable damage.
Yeah, Gerald Mack in the chat actually says exactly what my point is. He's saying, sorry, it's not him. It's Sleepy Goblin. I misread it because he's one line below. He says, I think this reflects poorly on IGN more so than anyone else. That's basically where I'm at. Is like, IGN messed up and made the mistake. I still think the game looks fine, and I don't think Xbox is like, they shouldn't have sent this to IGN, because like, yeah, even though they put something bad up, like, it's still going to get a lot of traction. And I think most people are just going to be like, oh, this is just another idiot who's messing up like the Cuphead guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't think that this is going to do a ton of damage to the game. I think that, you know, like, the people who want to hate this game have now more ammo for it, and that sucks. But otherwise, I think it's fine. Like,
Yeah,
I
mean,
still want to, like, I got to push back just a little bit, Daniel. Like, I don't like comparing a journalist and someone who from IGN to someone else that might stink at the game. Like, no, obviously, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was even saying that on our own podcast. Like, this could be footage of me just being terrible at Redfall, but I don't represent
we don't need to drag
IGN.
Boom's driving through the test.
You know, you're right, exactly. Like, if you saw me playing Forza, you'd be like, this is the worst player of all time.
Right.
But my point is,
Which
is
why
like
you
I
wouldn't
don't
be the person to be sent to do
right.
that. Exactly.
Well,
No,
exactly.
I totally understand what you're saying.
I don't think we should be comparing like the IGN representative video to a regular player. That's like comparing like me. I'm not a journalist. Like I write a story, you know, for DualShockers or something, and everyone's like, it's terrible. Well, I'm not a journalist. Right.
Yeah.
But
Well, that might actually be the
there's
case
some
over at DualShockers.
you know,
It seems like they use a lot of
but there's something to be said that
forward.
you should put your best foot forward. Like I think that's kind of what we're all driving at here, and someone else should have been playing the game, in my opinion, because it kind of it made the game look worse than I think it is. You know,
right?
What I mean, I
but
think
let's say that
I think
you're
it plays
Xbox
much
in this
better.
scenario, right? And you've had this event, and they sent somebody out who is not your Miranda Sanchez, it's not your Stella, right? And it's just somebody who's just not doing a good job. Are you just gonna like give them your own gameplay and be like, pretend this is yours, or are you like, well, that's your gameplay?
They already did that, so why not?
Thing.
They literally already did that. They did that with everyone who went to Redfall and gave them everyone else's gameplay and said, here you go, Colt. And that's why everyone literally started talking about Colt versus IGN. That's literally already happened.
Right.
So
but Colt,
I mean,
Colt and IGN aren't also the only people who have uploaded gameplay of this, right? Like if this was the only piece of gameplay that had come out of Redfall and it looked like that, then I'd be really upset. But we've been seeing gameplay of Redfall for what, like a year and a half, 2 years now, and I think this is really like the only chunk of it that's looked bad. So
I agree.
I think that
I agree.
I
agree with
of
that.
Redfall is still going to be fine. It's just that, like, yes, now there's this one bad piece of content out there that like probably shouldn't be, but I do still think everything is going to be fine. Like I'm not mad about it. I'm just like like this was a poor choice by IGN, but I'm not mad at like Xbox or Arkane or anything like that. I think it's literally just like, hey, you sent somebody who wasn't good at this to record this, and then you uploaded it. And like, I think
if
most
I'm
people
Microsoft, I say get somebody else to do it again.
I agree.
Do it again. Like it's not that hard, Daniel. Like I don't understand. Like it's your message for one of your biggest third-party IPs that is coming out for this year. It is your message, and you go, if you're Microsoft, and maybe there wasn't anyone that maybe they just let IGN do their thing and said, do your thing, which is what I hope happened, because if someone from Microsoft approved this and said, yeah, it's good enough, they need to be fired.
What happened is,
you know what I mean?
It's the situation where it's like, but okay, so this one really bad piece of gameplay came out, and yes, there's probably tons of comments being like, this is bad, and there's probably I bet the like to dislike ratio on that video is terrible, because there's probably a lot of people being like, this gameplay
it's abysmal, it's terrible.
Yeah, it got ratio like, crazy on the dislike side.
It's like what you already pointed out, right? This gameplay was so bad that DualShockers, a company or a publication that typically is very anti-Xbox, put out an article that was like, hey, this gameplay was bad, right? And like was not saying the game was bad, but was saying that the person who was playing it was bad at the game, right? So I think that if DualShockers is doing that, I think realistically the most people watching it are not going to have their opinions completely turned around by like this one bad video. And it's like, I totally understand what you're saying, where it's like, yeah, they could have maybe had somebody else go and do it. I don't necessarily think that this is something that was, you know, approved or even really looked at by Xbox. I think that it's a sort of situation where they were just like, here's the thing early, you guys can play it, because it's part of their IGN first thing, right? Where it's just like,
they've been doing forever.
And that's what makes it even worse for me, is because an IGN first is publicized.
Gets a lot of traffic too.
It gets a lot of traffic because IGN is showing you something that you might or may not have seen, and if that's the case, this is what you're showing. My God, like I
still don't think it looks that bad. Like I look at I thought it looked horrendous. And the game still looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, like aesthetically, I think it actually is gorgeous. Like even in 1080p, right? It's like I think the world looks beautiful, right? Like I think that's there. It's just a guy who is doing everything wrong. It's weird to have like a montage of a guy who's running away from the boss the whole time. Like you're supposed to like looking.
Well, I think
my thing about
he
it,
throws out his equipment.
You know what?
And turns around right away. You don't even see it land.
The party chat, I think it'd be really funny, because it would be whoever's playing screaming, and then his friends being like, "Bro, what are you doing? Bro, what's going on? Bro, wait, come
turn
back.
that volume up." He's like, I'm so bad at this game." He's just like running in a circle.
We all know it's gonna happen.
No, listen. First of all, we got Umbra back. So Umbra, thank you for coming back. Let's get your hot take on this, because Daniel and Retri and I have been really, running this through the ringer. Again, no one is suggesting here, that the tinfoil hats at IGN once again trying to screw Xbox, but there is something to be said about a responsibility to handling or caring for and putting your best foot forward and showing off a game you were given as a gift to your IGN first, which gets a lot of traffic, which makes a lot of money for IGN, and not doing your due diligence to show this game at its best. And that's not what happened. They showed it and it looked poor, and the negative comments and the thumbs down ratios to their video are staggering. What are you where did it go wrong, Umbra?
I think it went wrong from the moment they gave it to this person. The interesting thing about it is, it's like you all said a second ago. If you're going to be playing this and showcasing it, especially for the IGN first, I would think you're supposed to highlight it in a positive way. If I saw that and I know that's how I played, I wouldn't put that up there. Like, I've been recording game footage right now for the fix, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I was getting murdered in Halo, I'm like, that's getting cut. So
exactly. Thank you.
That's not going to see the light of day.
No one's seeing that.
Right. I got teabagged up, edited out.
No, you got to keep those moments though.
Yeah. Oh no. If I teabag them to oblivion, then it's going to stay. But otherwise, nope. Yeah, it's a matter of editing and what you show, and to show that. It almost feels like sabotage in a way, but then IGN has such a terrible history when it comes to showcasing gamers, their journalists, whatever, playing games. I mean, I know you all remember, like I said before in the green room, the whole Cuphead situation. Like, come on, things like that, and
he couldn't get out of the tutorial.
Yeah, and was like negative about it. Like, dude, you just don't know what the hell you were doing. Like, how can you put that on a game? You just suck. So I watched this guy here, and he's playing and running around. Can't even shoot right. I mean, the guy shooting at the boss missed like 8. He shot 8 shots, I think, missed all really 7 but 1. And a guy that's one like the boss was zigzagging. It was just walking like kind of straight, and he still missed 7 of the shots. This person clearly didn't know what they were doing. They probably don't even play first-person shooters, I would imagine. And that goes back to a discussion I think we've had here before.
Yeah, they sent their Candy Crush guy to play a FPS game. It's just
right. They may honestly have just sent their person who's their big like Arkane fan, and they might have sent like someone who's really fun, who's really good at like Dishonored, and then this is just a very different game from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And then he was throwing a teleporter around, and I don't think he understood or she understood what did what. It's like they would just like, here you go, just run with it. And again, like it's like we've discussed here before, if you're going to have people review the games and things of that nature, I would be more inclined to put people who actually enjoy those types of games.
I agree.
Not somebody who does, I don't play strategy turn-based games. I like action adventure. Let me review this game. Yeah, that's probably going to skew your review in a negative way because you don't play those types of games versus somebody who plays those and can have played other games in that genre who can give you a better, more nuanced take. Right. So if you put somebody on here who don't typically play these games, just in the case of showcasing it, it's probably going to look like trash, as we saw, and like you all said, the negative feedback from everybody, clearly they didn't put this on Arkane. If you go and look at those comments, they are trashing IGN and that person who played. People are smart enough to get that. It's really on Twitter where it's turned to, Arkane and Microsoft is bad or looks bad.
True. And to be fair, Twitter's always like that, though.
Yes, they are.
They're just looking for
literally everything. Yeah.
True. So it was just really on Twitter where they tried to, make some FUD out of it. But on YouTube, to the credit of people, I was a little surprised. They actually did not put that on Arkane or Xbox. They put it on IGN for whoever they allowed. They say gang journalist level difficulty right here. And they really did represent themselves poorly. It's just, again, if I have some gameplay and I look that poor, you guarantee you're never seeing it.
It's not hitting the highlight reel. That's
ever.
Sure.
I'm going to realize I did. Some people don't have awareness either, I guess. That could be.
Real quick, guys. Jared Bishop. First of all, Jared, welcome to the show as always. He says, you'll act like you're MLG, like you've never missed a whole mag on a boss walking in straight. I mean, listen.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm not saying that. You guys see my Halo gameplay. There's matches where I am on, and there's other matches I can't get it. I put it this way. When Season 3 started, I hadn't played Halo in a while, right? I swear to God, I don't know if I have the footage. I'm going to show you. I had two killed 17 deaths. It almost made me quit. I said, you know something? The old man in me has officially come out. And that's because I haven't played it in a while.
Did you showcase that in your gameplay footage here?
I don't know if I might have. I actually might have, to be honest with you.
I know Boom played with us on one of the community game nights, and we were not doing that well, and the footage mysteriously went away. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I actually played that footage, and I was terrible there. We were playing. It was me, you, Zemi, and a bunch of other people. That footage has been shown, and you know something? I looked awful.
I tell you, and according to Zemi, no matter how many games we lost, we won every game. That's what he said after every time we got our butts kicked. He's like, hey, good job, guys.
That's another win. Chalk up another win. Absolutely.
Another win.
I do notice this Hi-Fi Rush footage, Boom using some of that auto solve for some of those rhythm puzzles.
Oh, wow.
No, this is old footage. The auto. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I'm up to the last boss. I just want to beat the game. I'm not going to do the auto thing because I'm not that terrible, to be honest with you. But
that last boss was tough for me, man.
But again,
I do want to say though,
I
have not missed a full clip on a boss like that gentleman asked this pointed out. No, I'm not that terrible, but I mean I have had bad moments, and sometimes you have those moments. Like you said, Boom, you'll be playing Halo.
Absolutely.
You look at the end game, you're like, what was I doing?
I almost quit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, you know what? This is just not for me. But you know what? I'm level 76 later, and I can't wait to get back to it. But Resident Evil, I'm running through Resident Evil 4 again. I beat it once. I'm running through it again. I'm trying to get the unlimited rocket launcher. Very hard to do. So I'm working on that. But listen, I do want to move on, and this is a small topic. This is more of a nerd topic for me, and that is the leaked footage that we saw. And I'm not a Persona guy. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Persona's so great! Boom, you got to play it." I tried it. I bought the collector's edition for PlayStation on Persona 5, and after my 6th train ride, I'm like, I don't get it, folks. I don't know what's going on here. So it wasn't for me. I know Royal is probably better, and I'd probably enjoy that more. But we saw some footage, folks, of Persona 3, and it's apparently a remake. But that I don't care about that because I'm an OG. What I saw was what it appeared to be leaked footage of Jet Set Radio Remake. Now, I don't know if it's Jet Set Radio on the OG Xbox or it's Jet Set Radio Future on the Dreamcast. I don't care, to be honest with you. I mean, I would love to see the original one remade because the original one is just godlike. Again, not a big topic, but it was the lead, on the thumbnail. I have to talk about it. Umbra, I want to go to you first on this. Again, everyone that we were talking in agreement thinks this is real. We did hear that they were going to remake that and Crazy Taxi for that matter. But all we saw was Jet Set Radio. I mean, is it a game that you're going to want to play day one? Is Jet Set Radio in your wheelhouse?
Yeah, it's definitely in the wheelhouse. It's a classic. I mean, it's one of those games you go back to from Sega. It's one of those classic nostalgic games, right? That and Crazy Taxi. You all heard me doing a voice before we got in here. So yeah. Hey.
Hey, yeah, I got a nail on that one.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry. I had to step away for a second. What did I miss?
Oh, I thought my audio died out for a second.
I thought my audio died too. Okay, well, I guess we're all here. Everything's good. Yeah. I don't know what happened. Umbra, you still there?
Maybe Umbra.
I think we lost
Umbra.
Yeah,
maybe something happened with Umbra. Okay, well, listen. We'll
get
him back in a second.
Yeah.
He's having some technical issues. Stuff happens. Retri, look, we know that Microsoft or Xbox has a great relationship with Sega, right?
Sega.
I mean, everybody wants them to buy Sega. But I wouldn't mind it, to be honest with you. But I think of other things they could buy first.
Yep.
Jet Set Radio is, at least I have always equated it to an Xbox game. Obviously, it made its debut on the OG Xbox. We know that it made its way eventually, obviously, as an exclusive. I think it was an exclusive for the Dreamcast.
It was Dreamcast, yeah.
Yeah, I hear he's back. Umbra, are you back, brother? Oh, we don't hear you,
Uh-oh.
dude.
We don't hear you. We know you just unmuted and you're trying to talk, but we're not hearing you.
Yeah, we don't hear you, brother. I have no idea what the H is going on.
What
Oh.
about now? Can you guys?
Nah,
hear me?
we
Yep.
got you, brother. Now
We
you're
got
back.
you.
There
Yeah.
we go. Peaches, 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 peaches. I love you. Oh. Yeah, this thing is, my internet is acting up, guys. I don't know what it is, but it's just kicking off and on, and that's why I'm seeing buffering and everything like that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it might be an ongoing issue, so bear with me, I guess, for now. But yeah.
All right. So I mean, continue your point with Jet Set.
Well, you know, I don't know how much you guys heard from me, but it is a classic, man. It's a cult classic. I mean, Boom, I know the Dreamcast is one of your all-time favorite consoles, right?
Favorite console of all time? Yeah, absolutely.
See, one of my all-time favorite as well. I'm not sure where I would rank it, but it's definitely top 3. So, you know, playing that, Crazy Taxi, all these other games, it just brings back that nostalgia. It brings back that nostalgic feeling that you got that nostalgic feeling. Yeah, it brings it back, man. And from what I've seen, it looks pretty dope. I mean, they stayed in true into what we've seen as far as the design. It looks a bit obviously more modern as far as like the pants we could see and everything like that. But yeah, I'm excited for it for sure. And I mean, we knew that it was happening because last year in April, that's when we first heard about the reboots. So, I mean, Persona 3 coming over as well makes sense. I mean, they've already gotten all the other Personas from 5 and Royal and all of that. And through, what was it? I think I forgot the name of it, but they got a few Persona games already on the platform. It makes sense. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be good to have it come back. Actually, it's about time for that. I think Sega is outside of Microsoft, and I would say Konami are woefully underuse some of their IP. So it would be nice to see that return.
Yeah, it would be. Again, it's one of those classic IPs. I hope that this gets marketed with Microsoft. I hope that it's a day one Xbox Game Pass release. If it's not, I'm buying it anyway. So I don't personally care. I don't know if this gets a physical release, but if there's a collector's edition, only because I'm such a fan, I would definitely get it. Retri, is this screaming Xbox Game Pass to launch into it?
I don't know if it'll happen, but I really want it to. I think Xbox might be, unless they acquire Sega, I'd be a little surprised because this is from the rumors we heard a year ago when it came to Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. Apparently Sega was putting this on a pedestal of like a Fortnite, which is crazy to me. So they want this, like, this is not, I don't think this is going to be like a small game if it sees the light of day, which I do think it is going to happen. Because we've seen it on Sega's earnings reports that they mentioned specifically Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi Driver bringing those IPs back as part of their, I can't remember what the heck they called it. Some initiative.
It's a weird name for their big games. A super
game.
That's what it was. Thank you. Like super, they call them super games. And Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio are part of that initiative. So
yeah,
I don't know if this is going to be filled with just. It feels like if they're kind of comparing it to Fortnite, maybe this is going to be filled with cosmetics, which is fine. You know, I don't care. You pay for cosmetics or whatever, but I would love to see it obviously hit Game Pass. Like it's very much kind of like Sunset Overdrive with like Tony Hawk. You know, that's what I remember. I mean, the game's 23 years old or whatever. It's nice to see an old IP, to get a reboot. So these type of reboots, I'm all for. Like bring back something, you know, that is that old, that is 23 years old, and bring it back to the light of day. But I'm curious to see, like, it's great music. It's got a lot of weirdness in Jet Set. I'm curious to see, is it still going to be, you know, are you still going to be on rollerblades? Like, is that going to translate to 2020? I want it to. I don't want it to change it. I just want an updated version. But from the leak stuff that I'm seeing, it's there's no way. I don't think this is old school footage at all. I don't believe it. It's
No,
way
it
too
looked
smooth.
new.
It looks
did
like
look new.
Hi-Fi Rush, guys. Like it looks
Yeah.
very polished,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping it's gonna have like an Hi-Fi Rush aesthetic mixed with quick and fast gameplay mechanics. But from what I'm seeing and what we're hearing and what we've been hearing for years, even before last year, there was still rumors about this happening. I do think it's happening. I think Sega is going to bring back some of their old IPs, and I want Capcom first, but knowing that Jet Set is coming back, it's starting to do a little bit of this for me for Japanese studios and who I want Microsoft to acquire. It's Capcom
Well, now's the
first,
time.
then
I mean, they have
Sega, and now I'm feeling
Japan's ear.
if they got Crazy Taxi and Jet Set, I don't know, man. Like I really liked Jet Set back in the day. So I would love to see that go into Game Pass.
It's interesting too. They have that game in the works. I think it's by Team Reptile or something like that.
Yes.
Bomb Rush.
Bomb Rush. Yeah, which is homage to Jet Set Radio. Looks phenomenal.
Definitely. Yeah. Looks a lot like it. Yeah, and that's like a indie team, I think, right? Which I think is actually going to be on Dutch's indie show. Pretty sure that's part of it. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for this. I hope it happens. I think it is going to happen, but I think the rumor is we're going to see Crazy Taxi first and possibly 2024, 2025, which makes me think we're not going to see this probably for a while for Jet Set. If those rumors are to be believed. So,
I hope those rumors are fake.
I hope they are. I hope they are too. I hope they are too.
Wait that long, but we'll see.
I know.
And again, what we're suggesting is, I'm sure there's going to be a bigger Jet Set Radio, but I'd like if you want to reacclimate of what Jet Set is, you do a remake of the original. I don't think a remake would be that hard to do. To be honest with you, I don't think it'd be that expensive. But listen, Daniel, before we get you in on this, on again the small topic, we have a couple of big news drops from today regarding what Microsoft is doing in the cloud, and Phil Spencer out there, showing his shelf again. Nothing new, folks. I didn't see anything new. I thought I did, but that's just my imagination. Jerron TJ drops the first super chat of the day of $5 and says, "Hey panel, Microsoft needs to buy Crytek. Don't let Sony money hat rise and drop the bag and get Jet Set Radio and Game Pass." Yes, I like both of those ideas. Brett Bingham drops not one but two $5 super chat and says, "Been saying this for the last few years. You can't spell ignorant without IGN." That's actually a very true statement, sir. He drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "I would like to say malice, but that would give IGN too much credit for how much incompetence they have. They are the embodiment of Inspector Clouseau." Oh my God, that's a good one. And if you don't know who Inspector Clouseau is, well, you're probably not as old as I am, because that's from the Pink Panther. Brett Bingham drops a very generous $2 additional and says, "IGN is a circus full of clowns." UK Lad has become a channel member. UK, thank you, brother, for supporting the channel. Super appreciate that. We also have Highlander 001 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Hey, Boom, Microsoft needs to do real marketing and not depend on YouTube, Twitter, or other social media. Microsoft is doing a disservice to these games." I mean, their marketing is... It hasn't gotten, it's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten that much better. I listen, I'm not saying that Microsoft needs to be Sony, right? When it comes to marketing, because Sony, that's what they do. They have great marketing, and they just know how to shove it down your throat. They just do it in a way where you can't wait to play the next game. Microsoft needs to take a page out of the book and just do better. Their marketing sometimes, the grassroots marketing that Microsoft is known for through YouTube and through Twitter and a few other things like that. It's just not working. It's not working. I don't know. I
feel you might be right, Boom. And I mean, we just saw these recent numbers come up from the UK about the.
I have them in front of me right now. Yeah, literally from Benji Sales posted them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's dramatically different from Sony having 180% up
Yep.
versus Microsoft.
Yeah, I have
being
right here.
18%
This is what it
down.
is. Again, shout out to Benji Sales who just posted this on his official Twitter site. He says PlayStation 5 is up over 180%. The Switch is down 25%. The Xbox Series consoles are down 18%. And just look at the top 5 for March software. Sony has most of the marketing rights on all of these. PlayStation 5 accounted for over 50% of all consoles sold in the UK this quarter. Think about that for a second. And the March software top 5 are Resident Evil 4 Remake. That's not a surprise. Sony marketed. Hogwarts Legacy. Sony marketed. FIFA 23. I believe that's Sony marketed. WWE 2K23. I don't know who has the marketing on that. And GTA 5, which has always been associated with Sony because they had heavy marketing in that. That goes to show you, man. The numbers don't lie, folks. As much as I love Xbox and they're my go-to console to play, the numbers don't lie.
No, it's
they
fine.
are
They're saving that
struggling.
marketing money to buy Sega, so it's all worth it.
It could be. Could very well be. Could very well be.
Maybe they are.
I mean, they're probably not.
I'd
but
be
it'd be
okay
really
with
funny.
that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
Dash my
absolutely,
dreams.
absolutely. Dreadful Sean drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I got a box of stuff from my mom, and the combo Sega GT Jet Set Radio was in it from the OG Xbox. Is that backwards compatible?" I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'll check. I'll do a quick check on it. But if it is, good on you, brother, because that is worth playing through. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "I want Sega of America to make a new Phantasy Star universe like the one from the Xbox 360. Isn't that like a Phantasy Star one that you can play like right now on the Xbox? I'm pretty sure that there is.
There's a
But
Phantasy
yeah,
Star on there.
the one from the 360 was pretty dope. I'm not going to front. Brett Brigham drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, "There was Albert, the Volt Boy statue on Phil's shelf." Maybe we get a new Fallout.
Fallout 5 confirmed.
Maybe.
Fallout
that
New
was already-
Vegas
I think
2
that's been there for a
confirmed.
while.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
yes.
But Daniel, let's get your hot take on this. Jet Set Radio, does it mean anything to you? Are you nostalgic like this rest of the old men, or are you like, I could take it or leave it?
I love
It
Daniel.
came out
Are you-
23 years
Nope.
ago. I was 4 years old.
Well, there you go.
So-
folks.
When Retry said it, I looked at Danny and he
I
started
hate you
smiling.
guys.
Oh,
I-
no.
I was
Cheers.
4 years old. You say Jet Set Radio, I say see you later, yo. It's not.
This young whippersnapper here.
Oh my lord!
It looks like
Great to
fun
have
Back in my
to
day.
Jet Set
Some
Radio,
panel.
but
I
I
love
always
it.
really like the art style of it, and I've listened to some of the music from it, and both are really good.
Yeah,
So I'm
music's
excited to
great.
give it a shot. But more importantly, the game that you so sinnerly passed over, Persona 3 getting a remake. That's the real topic for old Danny boy out here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you like Persona.
I'm
That's
a big
awesome.
Persona fan. I think Persona 3 is probably actually the best of the 3, 4, 5, the modern ones.
Okay.
Probably a lot of people aren't going to think that because right now the only one on Xbox is P3P, which is the portable version that's for some
Right.
reason the one that they decided to port over instead of FES. And some people probably prefer that because they're like, well, then I can play as the female protagonist. And it's like, yes, that's cool. And there are some cool story additions, but also graphically it's a mess. So I think doing a remake of Persona 3 is going to be a big deal. Assuming, of course, that it hits the Xbox console, because I know a lot of Japanese games like to just skip, and I don't think this one will, but I just want to put that out there for in case it pulls an Octopath and just beats me over the head, makes me cry. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I think that one looks really good. I think if Jet Set Radio comes out, what I'm thinking this is I think that because it's leaked, this wasn't like officially announced or anything to my understanding.
Right. It leaked, yes.
Which means it's probably something that's going to be a part of like an E3 type situation. I don't know if Sega's doing one of their own or if this is going to be part of the Microsoft thing or the PlayStation thing or whatever. But I would expect that we see whatever this montage footage is from probably sooner rather than later. Like that read to me as like the Sega portion of a Sizzle-Reel at the end
Of a
of something.
show. Yeah. Mhm.
And so I think that there's a good shot that that's what's going on here. We've been hearing rumors of the Persona 3 remake at least for a bunch of years now, so it might be ready to come out this year or next year. I would think probably next year, just because P3P just got ported to modern consoles, so I think that they'll probably want to give that a little bit of room. But yeah, I think it's a good time to be Sega right now. I think because they just recently, I think, also switched presidents or something, and the new president seems to be doing just a really good job of actually putting their games on multiple platforms, namely Xbox.
Yes.
And I think they're seeing a lot of benefit from that. I mean, we hear them, hey, these Yakuza games are actually doing really great in the West. And it's like, that's because you put it on a Western console finally. Or like, just all kinds of situations like that. So I'm really happy for Sega, and I'm happy for me as a Sega fan.
Yeah.
Naoki Kameda.
I think he's the son of the previous one, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
he is the son. Yes.
Yeah.
And he maybe has a different way of doing it. Obviously they're very traditional. Sega's always been very traditional in the way they're doing things. So I like to kind of change things up, and I like that they're involving Xbox. They've worked with Xbox for years. And especially on the OG Xbox, you saw a lot of Sega exclusives, and you saw a lot of that on the 360. I'd like to see them return to that form. But listen, folks, I want to talk about, and this kind of went under the radar for a lot of people. Yesterday, the times for the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase were made apparently for everyone to see. It's going to be a 2-hour show between the Xbox show and the Redfall, the Starfield showcase or developer showcase. 2 hours is what the number is for the Eastern time. I believe it was 12 p.m. To 2. My question is, considering the amount of games that could potentially make its way to the Xbox stage and how big of a blowout we're all expecting Starfield to be, is 2 hours enough, Retri?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually thought that was plenty, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I thought this conversation was going to go a different direction. I thought you were going to be saying it was too much.
No. I'm not saying it's not enough. I think 2 hours is fantastic. I think that's great, because what that does is give everyone has a room to breathe. If it would have been shorter, I would have had concerns. I think 2 hours is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, so you're probably talking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the question is, what are you expecting now that we know that it's 2 hours? Because Redfall, I keep saying Redfall, Starfield is, we need to see this game in all of its glory, right? We need for some planets to be shown. We need some combat to be shown. We need to see what it looks like taking off from the planet or landing onto the planet. I want to see this thing running. We want to learn whether or not it's 30 frames or 60 frames. There's a lot of information that's going to come the way of this developer direct that is happening directly after the Xbox showcase. The question is, do they each take an hour? Is an hour enough for Redfall? Because I'm saying Redfall,
Starfield. We'll get there.
Starfield, Jesus Christmas. I mean, do you think the hour would be enough, or do you think maybe it's
too much? Personally,
okay.
I don't.
All right, I'm kind of thinking that as well.
I don't think Starfield. I see Starfield probably I think it's an hour and a half hour, maybe hour and 15, and then 45 minutes at the most. I don't think Starfield needs to get more than a half hour of its own showcase. Essentially, I think that's plenty. I mean, look, this is all going to be curated stuff. They know exactly what they're going to show ahead of time. So, you show the sizzle, not the steak. So get us excited about Starfield. I think 30 minutes is plenty of time to show us everything that we need to know, and everything that you just said about Starfield from the ships. Maybe we'll get the whole frame rate thing answered. I know that's not a big deal for everyone. I really want 60 frames. as you know, a PC gamer too, like I want all the frames, and even on an Xbox, I would like 60. It would be great, but I'm not, you know, I'm gonna play the crap out of this game no matter what it is. But I know there were polls online about this, and the frame rate, like, what do you want to see at a Starfield, and frame rate won almost every poll I saw.
Yeah, I know some people who flat out said they won't play it if it's not 60.
Yeah, I mean that's
Those people are full of it,
think I don't believe them either. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're not gonna buy Call of Duty because, you know, Xbox might buy it. Well, we see how that worked out. So yeah, I'm with Daniel. I don't believe those people. But I think between like the other hour and a half, which is what I kind of think is going to happen, you know, with the actual showcase before Starfield, I mean, that's a lot of games they could be showing. Like, you know, Hellblade, obviously, State of Decay, like what the heck's going on with Avowed? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and what's going on with Avalanche, and you know, Perfect Dark, Indiana Jones, you know,
In Exile.
Exactly. In Exile is a good one. Like, what the heck? What's going on with them? So, Everwild, is that like that? That's. I just want to know it still exists, because I actually thought it was a cool concept. It got me excited. But yeah, I mean, I think 2 hours is great. Is a great amount of time. I think it's more than plenty, and hopefully the show will be as good as their other the directs. I really like the marketing initiative in those. I think they're super solid.
I think they need to, moving forward, they all need to look just like that, because it was fantastic.
I agree. Just do that forever, and I think you're good. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, I think that was very good marketing on and I'm the guy who constantly craps on Xbox for their marketing. And, you know, I'm saying I thought that was fantastic. Like, just keep doing that. And I think it'll work, you know, like we said, like maybe 3 shows a year to tide us over, maybe 4 if you're, you know, going crazy. I think that's more than enough. And I think this show should be one of the best shows of their entire existence, of Xbox, really. If they're to show a lot of the stuff that might not be coming out, you know, in the next 12 months as well, which I want them to do. I want them to show a lot of the stuff in the future. I know that kind of splits the community. Some people like the 12-month, you know, thing. I'm not one of those people personally, but there's just a astronomical amount of games, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll get a little bonus thing of something that we just don't know about yet.
You mean the one more thing? I've been calling for that. Yeah, I've been calling that to come back for years. I do like that. Like, you know,
I feel like they gave it to us in Hi-Fi Rush, right? Like, I completely disagree with the community that were talking about maybe this other game will get announced, and I was like, nah, that's not Xbox. That's not what they do, and they did it. So good to be wrong, right? Like, what an awesome drop. I think that's a one more thing right there. I don't expect anything like that. Don't get me wrong. I just like maybe just a game announcement itself of something new that we don't know about.
Shadow drop or anything like that.
Me either.
It'd be cool. I'd be here for it if it happened, but I'm not expecting it.
Right. There you go. Quake Valentine, Quake reboot. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'd be kind of dope. But yeah, QuakeCon has been confirmed also as to come back in person. So I would imagine if I mean,
it'll be there.
Well, yes and no. It's so it's back, but it's only the BYOC, so it's not going to have a show floor or probably really any panels. So there probably won't be any announcements coming out of it. It's just going to be a party for fans and friends. I mean, the BYOC is a lot of fun. If you've ever been there, it's great.
Well, it's close to you. Doesn't it usually happen in Texas?
It does. Yeah, it happens at the good old Gaylord Texan. It's a good time. Highly recommend. If anyone's in the area, I highly recommend it. Normally, you can get in for free, but I think this year, because it's just the BYOC, you do have to pay to bring your computer. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, well, Daniel, let's get your hot take on this. A 2-hour show between what was expected to be a big blowout for Starfield. We're all anticipating it. It is one of the most anticipated games of the year for sure, for a multitude of reasons. So actually, someone actually had put in here, it was Red Monkey Butts in the chat says Fallout 4 reveal showcase was 32 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
There you
So
If there's anyone we can trust, is Red Monkey Butts.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
it's in the name. It's in the
It's
name.
It's in the name.
Trust
It
is there.
absolutely is a name. That's why I was laughing when I said it. But it, you know, I don't remember what the length was, but he's saying it's 32 minutes.
I believe that.
And Fallout 4 got a huge blowout. I think they might do a little bit more for Starfield. You know, what I mean, you might get more because this now they're doing these developer directs, which you're going to get some commentary, I would imagine, from the staff that help bring this game to reality. So we're probably going to get a little bit of that. So maybe it's 40 minutes, give or take, maybe 45. Usually the Xbox shows run about a little over an hour. Give it an hour 15, sometimes an hour and 20. They have a lot to show. They have a lot that we know about. I'm sure there's going to be some third-party marketed stuff that are going to be in there as well. I'm sure there's going to be an indie, reel that they're going to show for you. And what's interesting, folks, and what we haven't really I haven't even mentioned yet, is Sony show, the rumored Sony show, supposed to be on the 8th. That just so happens to be the first day of Jeff Keighley's show. Obviously, he was dancing on the grave of E3, and he heard the news that they weren't.
Within seconds, he was like ready to hit
send. Hey, we're back on the 8th, folks. And
I'm always really confused by the like first day of Jeff Keighley's show bit, because his show is actually like the actual show is only one day. The rest of the time is him just being like, "Hey,
you mean
I'm
him taking credit for
thing that somebody else did," and like
exactly.
So like, I could see PlayStation sliding into that window to be like,
so do I. Absolutely.
Hey, Jeff Keighley, let's get this going. And if that happens, then we'll almost certainly see Death Stranding too, although I don't know who's asking for that at this point.
Listen, I'll put it this way, Daniel. 2 hours seems to be a significant amount of time. And it is, especially when you do trailers. What are you expecting, brother? Like, what do they need to show there? Because one of the things about Xbox is that we know a lot of the games that are coming. We don't really know what Sony's doing. Like Sony, we know a few, but we don't really know what Sony's up to. We have an unbelievable idea of what Microsoft is doing. I think it's time they have to show those games.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with everything that you guys have been saying, unfortunately, because it makes it a less exciting conversation. But I think Retro really nailed it with the timing. I think it's pretty likely that the main show will be about 90 minutes and that the Starfield show is probably going to be 30, and that'll break up the 2 hours. I think there might be like a 10-minute, 15-minute thing in the middle for people to like go get a juice box and like have a come down real fast.
A juice box,
but because it's I don't know. I'm expecting the Microsoft Showcase this year to be pretty good. I mean, last year was divisive, but I feel like if you go back and look at it and just look at the actual announcements that are in there, like we got all the Persona games coming, and there was a lot of cool stuff. I do think that they get away from that 12-month marketing. I think it was the right call at the time, although they ended up missing it on a couple different games there, which is a real bummer. But they don't need to do it this year because by the time that comes out, we're already going to be 3 or 4 first-party games out this year and have 2 more coming. I think it's I think that it would be more exciting to see like a bunch of new games announced, but I think it's probably better for them in the long run if we focus primarily on the games that have already been announced that we haven't heard from in a while. Like if we see Avowed, if we see a Fable or something like that, I think that those are the kind of things that we need, because there's a lot of people who are asking the questions of like, what's happening with this game? What's happening with that game? Right. There's people who want to be like, oh, Perfect Dark is in, a nightmare situation. And then 2 days later, Jess Gordon comes out and he's like, actually, I just talked to like 6 dudes over there and everything's going fine. So, I think that there's definitely a lot of those games that we need to see to sort of get clarification on either what is this game, or, is this game doing okay? In some cases, maybe like what year is this game coming out? I wouldn't expect a whole lot of release dates, maybe for Hellblade and or Avowed, because I think those are going to be the big ones for next year. But yeah, I would expect primarily for it to focus on things that we've already seen announced, and then newer games being announced, I think are probably going to be on the smaller scale. I think that we might see like Compulsion's game being announced, or like In Exile's new one that I think was like they have a big one that's coming, but I think there was a smaller one that was in the works before then. I might be wrong about that. So I could see, like, I think there will be new announcements, and hopefully like a one more thing sort of situation. I wouldn't expect I wouldn't expect a year of dream situation where Phil comes out and is like, and we bought a Sobo and we bought this and we bought that, like he did with the what was it, the Double Fine year, or no, that was the year after. It was the year
the Double Fine was 20.
Double Fine, and didn't Double Fine announce it themselves?
No, they actually
States,
announced it on. I was there. I was literally on the floor when they did that.
They announced it in December, right? Wasn't that in December with the XO? Or something like that.
XO was for Obsidian and in Exile. That's where they
That's
did
right.
Says, what if they did though? Says Curie.
What if they did though? I'd be 100%. I would be so excited if they did. There's a lot of studios that I'll make a video on it. There's a lot of studios that I think that they should acquire and that they're probably in talks with. Whether or not any of that comes, to anyway, I'm getting off the point. My only other thing that I wanted to bring up is that I pretty much guarantee that they have two different versions of this show. One for if the ABK deal is done, and one for if it's not. And I do think it will be done, but I think that they're probably smart enough to have two different, exports of this video for, hey, just for like probably honestly mostly for like sizzle reels and stuff, to be like, these are all the games that you can expect, and then like one of them will have all the ABK stuff on it and one of them won't. Or like your favorite games from your favorite studios, and it's gonna have just a mess.
Call of Duty in one of them and Call of Duty not in the other. Yeah,
right. So I would expect that. I think it's going to be a good show. I think it's going to be probably one of their better ones. Hopefully, just looking at how much content that they have to talk about, assuming that even half of the things that we know are in the works can talk about things. I think it's going to be honestly one of their better shows, which, to be fair, and I loved Xbox's E3 shows in the past, but I don't think it's necessarily a super hard competition, just on account of, look at the entire 360 Xbox One generation, where they had like 4 in-house studios or whatever it was. Like they should be able to put on a better show. I do worry about the closest of the PlayStation show, though, because I think just because we know absolutely nothing that's happening over at PlayStation right now, with the exception of like Wolverine and like things that are very far off, and then the things that are right now like Spider-Man, I think that's going to be like a 10 out of 10 show, because it kind of needs to be honest with you, because they
haven't had a show in a significant amount of time. So it's we're running into the 2-year mark where they haven't had a big show.
So it's got to be a really good show. I'm putting a lot of pressure on PlayStation for that one, and I think that they've kind of earned it, but I also think that they'll probably make good on it. But if it is that big of a show, then I think that that's going to be the sort of thing where people are going to be talking about that for a long time, and so maybe the Xbox show is going to get a little overshadowed. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, it's going to be a good June. Going to be a good June for all of us. So.
I agree. Everyone's gonna be doing their own thing. There is no E3, which I'm very disappointed about. Obviously, I planned to go, and that got nixed, unfortunately. And I don't know if it's ever gonna come back. I would have flown out to California if Xbox would have been doing an event, like an in-person event, like a real like fan fest, and having like the Microsoft Theater where you can go and sit down. Like I said, when I went the last time, it was amazing. It was surreal being there, to be honest.
I can imagine. I hope they actually change up the format next year.
I do.
That's the case, because I don't think E3 is going to be around, unfortunately.
No,
so
I think if it does, it'll just be a PAX with E3 branding. You know what I mean?
Potentially,
that's the more likely scenario.
PAX is, what? I've been to plenty of PAX. I've never been to PAX West, which is obviously in your neck of the woods. I've been to PAX East 4 times. It's an amazing event. Reed Pop puts on a great fan show, and that's exactly what it is.
It's just
a fan
kind of show than E3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to disparage PAX. I've actually never been to one, but I'm sure they're fine. QuakeCon traditionally I've gone to, and those have been a lot of fun. But this year I'm not expecting much. So.
Well, listen, folks. We listen. I'm expecting big things for Xbox this year. Besides having some of the biggest IPs, a lot of new IPs on top of that, coming to fruition for Xbox first party. We might get a surprise or two. I'm still holding out hopes that Hellblade 2 is at the end of the year. I would love for that to come out. It seems like the game is ready, but then what do I know? I'm not a developer. But I mean, talk about a year of first party. If you can bookend the start of the year with Hi-Fi Rush, which you got a chance to see and you've played, it's an amazing game.
One of
And
my
then you
favorites of the
have-
year.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
if you beat it 17 times, of course it's your favorite. But I mean, when you bookend Hi-Fi Rush and potentially Hellblade 2, and in the middle there, you got a Starfield, you got a Redfall, and you got a Motorsport, along with Stalker 2. There's a lot of second party and third party stuff that are coming out as exclusive to Xbox. It's going to be a heck of a year, and if you can close ABK this year, which they're expected to do before June, and then
That's
you
the hope, yeah.
add a killer show on top of that conversation, I got to be honest with you. I've been an Xbox fan since they launched in 2000, and this potentially, folks, could be the greatest year of the Xbox platform in literally history. And again, that's a combination of everything. Big first party, ABK closing, a killer show showing us some updates on games like Fable, like Avowed, like Compulsion's game, and then maybe, just maybe, getting a glimpse behind the curtain of one of two projects that they haven't announced. Guys, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a hard
It's gonna be
year to
good.
beat Xbox.
It's
I agree.
Another thing that I want to point out that I forgot to bring up is going forward, not this year, but probably 2024, 2025, we're looking at a scenario in which even if E3 doesn't exist, right, we're going to get probably a handful of developer directs from Xbox. We're going to get their E3 show. They're in June, because I don't think they'll stop that even if E3 doesn't exist ever. They're going to own QuakeCon. They're going to own BlizzCon. And they might do an XL. So I am in no way concerned going forward about like, oh, are we going to see enough Xbox stuff? Because like Bethesda and ABK both have their own shows that they're going to be showing stuff off at. Although QuakeCon traditionally doesn't have like a ton of huge announcements. It's usually like very small things or like DLC, but whatever. And then they'll have their E3 show. I think they're in a really good place right now. Right?
I agree with that.
They're in a really good place to
definitely
go and
agree
buy
with that
Capcom or Sega or whatever. I know
I'll add that even if we don't get like things like
Right on, Danny.
Hellblade 2, even if we don't get that in the later part of the year,
Yep.
it still would be a banner year for Xbox as far as first party drops. I mean, you got Starfield, you got Redfall, you got Hi-Fi Rush. You possibly will have Motorsport. That will be that's a great year.
And Age 4, most likely.
Age of Empires 4, exactly. Yeah. So that would be a great year regardless. I would say though, for the showcase this year, I'm thinking it's going to be 95 minutes for the main show, which would match last year, and 25 minutes for Starfield. And
how dare you take those minutes?
How dare you take those 5 minutes away from me?
We're gonna need those 5 minutes back.
Give them back. It could end up being 20 minutes, but no, I think 95 sounds about right, because that's kind of where they land, Microsoft. And 20, so it could go either way. It's only 5 minutes, right? But I think I'm wondering, I'm hoping at least Microsoft gets out of their way with that 12-month thing. I hope they don't do that again.
I agree.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
I don't think they'll do it again.
I didn't care for it. I think they just put they set themselves up for a situation.
They painted themselves into a corner, to be quite frank.
Exactly. But what I would say though, and I don't know if I'm in a minority in this, but a lot of people are sometimes like, don't show me games that are years out. I'm not that type.
Me either.
You can show me.
Give me the CGI. Go ahead.
Normally I'm
Give me
fine
the
with
teaser.
That. I think that the problem is that right now there's already so many of those games that they have announced that are years out that I think they need to focus on bringing those home before they announce a ton of new ones.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, Daniel. Like I guess
you can announce third-party stuff that's years out. I'm fine with that. Show me like a new Superman game or something. I'm in.
Like maybe not at this show, but I do agree they need to flesh out what we've already been teased. So I definitely agree with Daniel on that one, which is a ton of stuff, right? And I wonder, like, I don't think it's going to happen this show, but do you guys think there's a possibility that they'll show like third-party Game Pass stuff in this show, or do you think that'll be?
I think it's a possibility.
I think anything that's going in Game Pass, I think they kind of view that as like a second tier
because if it's a 90-minute thing or 95 minutes showcase, I think it's almost guaranteed they're going to have to show third-party and second-party stuff.
Right,
anyway.
that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm imagining that we'll see IOI's game possibly shown or announced. We'll probably see the game from Avalanche. finally, which would be
Right.
what's the name of that?
Project Dragon.
No,
No, that's IO Interactive.
Contraband.
Contraband.
What you talking about?
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Because Contraband was rumored to possibly have released last year, so
Right.
that's
Yes.
a possibility we might get that this year. Actually, still
Could that be
Maybe.
another
Ooh.
shadow drop?
Oh, I knew you were
never
going to say
know.
that, Boom.
I say that.
He's asking for too much. He's getting greedy.
I
You know
know.
what? Jonas the Dad dropped a $2 super chat and says, Hi-Fi Rush got shadow dropped. Does Xbox want more of that? Well, I definitely want
know.
more of that. I don't know if they want it. I
Just
definitely.
remember that didn't really come from Xbox proper. That came from Tango that pushed that, which is just
Yep.
amazing to me that Xbox was like, okay, like it's
Yeah.
such a good game. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I mean, we got a ton of third party. You got like Exo Primal, Eliza P,
Mhm.
Arc
Sure.
2 that got pushed. Warhammer Dark Tide, that was
Stalker. Yeah.
probably already supposed to be out. And I think I know that gets a lot of hate. I think that's a really good game. Like Flintlock, Ravenlock replaced Stalker. The list just goes on and on.
Hollow
So,
Knight.
I can
mean-
see that being like, hey, here's also like I think that's more of like a montage sort of situation. I wouldn't
Yes,
expect to get new
Sizzle-Reel
trailers for all of
montage.
that.
I agree. I agree.
But yeah, I think that there's a good chance that we see just like, oh, by the way, here's all this other stuff that's
Like
still
a
coming to
nice
Game Pass
5 to
maybe
10
eventually.
minute just boom, 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 boom of
Yeah,
Game Pass
but I don't even
Sizzle-Reel.
think 10 minutes.
But
I think it'd
wait,
be like
there's
55.
Yes,
more.
yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot
That's
wait
true.
for that.
They'll
Listen,
bring
It's
out
going to be a
Sarah
good
Bond
show.
with
That's for
Mr.
damn
God.
sure.
Yeah, it's gonna
yeah,
be like,
I think it has to be. But it has to be based on what Daniel said. Daniel said that he's expecting a 10 out of 10 show from Sony, and I don't disagree. I think he's 1,000% correct. I think
Yeah.
Sony has to deliver a year of this has
It's
to be a
been-
year dream show for them. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see probably what Naughty Dog's working on. We're going to see. I mean, Insomniac seems busy, but they might announce another one of their things. Like there are so many studios that PlayStation has that we don't know what they've been doing. Like probably Ghost of Tsushima.
might
just
even
announced.
hear the announcement of what Barlog was working on in spacefaring
Yeah,
type
it's
game.
entirely
right?
Yes,
There's so many
absolutely.
different things going on, and then you also have to put into effect like the fact that even if it's not that many new announcements, that they're going to be those like PlayStation bangers that like everyone's going to talk about forever and ever.
Well, that's what
And,
they
like,
do. They're good
yeah,
at that. That's their
well, and
marketing
also-
doing what it does.
I think
Yeah,
it'll be a
and
good
I'm
showcase
expecting
for
that a
them,
lot of the
but
things
I
they
don't
announced-
expect anything to outdo what Microsoft is going to be showing us this year.
I agree. I think both will be good, but I gotta
Well, actually,
think that
I
the
think that I'll
Xbox show
probably
is gonna
prefer the
outshine it.
Xbox show,
Yeah,
but I
'cause
think
it's
that the
so
PlayStation
much
show is
that's
probably the one
stacked.
that's going to get talked about more.
Probably.
Oh, you're
you're
probably
probably right about
right on
that.
that.
Yeah. I just think that Microsoft is going to have so much to show, and that will be relatively releasing within a recent time. Like we have
How about
this
this?
year, next year, I would say.
I got a question for the panel. We're going to bring the chat involved in this.
Let's do it.
What's your one game that has to hit that Microsoft needs to bring to this thing? For me, it's Fable. I am a Fable stan through and through, folks.
That's a big ask,
and
though.
This is a
I
really
know.
hard one,
I
dude.
know. But I mean,
I think
Outside of
for
Starfield and outside,
go ahead.
outside of Starfield, I'll just throw Starfield away. We'll say
Yeah, because we already know for sure.
because
Yeah.
right,
they
exactly.
have to land Starfield. We know that for a fact. But outside of Starfield, boom, I'm with you on Fable. I've been calling and dreaming about Fable for so long.
me
Like,
too.
let me see Fable.
Yes.
Avowed. I know people are like, oh, Avowed. I'm not
That's
worried
mine.
about that.
I mean,
you know,
I'm
I
with
think it's
Richard.
going to
I
be
think it's
great.
Avowed.
That's mine.
Obsidian.
It's all about Avowed, baby.
But
Yeah,
you know,
nothing wrong
bring
with
it
that.
on.
Obsidian.
Obsidian
and I'm not
Entertainment.
mad at you. And I'm not mad at you. But Fable
We're
has
not
that
fighting.
cachet.
That's fine. That's fine.
Fable
I
has
agree.
that
I do
cachet
agree with
behind
you.
it, right? You know,
Fable's got the
does
name.
this, though.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think we're going to get Avowed well before Fable, which is why I think Avowed has a much better chance of showing
I agree.
up. If we don't see Avowed, I would be surprised. I don't think it would
I'll be
necessarily
very
like
surprised.
destroy the show or anything if it wasn't there.
No, I don't think it's
as
gonna
long as there
destroy
were
it.
other things that were good that were there, which I'm expecting there to be. But yeah, Avowed is definitely the thing where I'm like, I'd really like to see what this game is actually, because so far all we've seen is a
I
guy
agree.
do one
We
of
really
these and
don't
then pull
know.
out a sword. So
Yeah, I like the Avowed pick.
for me for sure.
I like the Fable pick. I really have some very big interest to Compulsion's game, only because Phil Spencer has talked it up, and it was one of his favorite picks of games that we don't know, that have not been put out there.
Yeah.
I really want to see what this in the Bayou, BioShock meets Uncharted, in a fantasy type of situation, is it third person? Is it first person? Can you switch? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm very that's like for me the dark horse. I really want to see what they're working on there.
Yeah, I really like their game contrast. I was not a fan of We Happy Few, but I think that's
I thought it was gonna be more like
a
I
sleeper
think in
studio.
both cases, they had really great concepts and
Yeah,
just not great
concept.
execution.
Yeah.
And that might be, a problem of staffing. It might be a problem of
Right.
just, I don't know if it's a problem of talent or funding or what, but hopefully because we've seen them literally grow to the point of needing a new studio, and now they have Microsoft backing. Hopefully those concepts will be able to be,
Fleshed out
shown
better.
off properly now. And all of the leaks and rumors that we've heard about Compulsion's new game, which is I think that it's going to be some like Southern dark magic sort of stuff, which is exactly up my bayou. And I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for whatever that's
Danny.
be. No,
Bayou.
I said that on
Right.
purpose. It's all profit. It's all here. Welcome to the swamp,
On
baby.
on the bayou. Yeah. No, man. Like I think though, as far as what has to hit, I'm pretty sure Valve is going to hit. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think Fable has to. Like
I
So,
agree.
okay, I think I'm
There's no room for
misunderstanding the question a
failure.
little bit. Are you saying which game needs to be like a 10 out of 10, like really good? Or are you
No,
saying
I
what
just
needs
mean
to be in
what
the showcase?
actually what I really meant is what do you want to
What's our
see? What
personal
needs
one?
to actually be there
Oh,
at
okay.
this
Oh,
particular
I
show?
thought you were
Okay.
saying like what has
Needs
to
to
be.
be.
Oh no.
hit
We know.
properly
Listen,
and-
I'm gonna be the greedy gamer. They all have to hit. I don't want to hear no excuses for
Amen. I
this
hear
one
you on
hit
that.
and this one did. Every one of the games we mentioned, folks, there's no excuses for Xbox. They all have to hit, and if they have to be delayed to make sure that they hit,
So
then
be it.
delay the games.
That's right.
The same way they delayed Starfield. What I probably framed the question wrong, and that's on me.
No, you're good. No,
What do you guys think need to be there at the show? For me, top billing is Fable. Fable's been in development since 2018, folks.
Yeah.
Since they acquired the studio, because again, this is rumor that when Microsoft approached them, or they approached Microsoft, hey, we're working on this, and they saw it, that's when they decided so we're gonna invest in Playground Games. Let's turn this into a Fable game. And they've been working on it ever since. And I happen to know one of the developers that working on it. And basically I was told that when you see it, you're not going to believe how amazing this game looks. So with that said, with that said, my body is ready for Fable.
You and me both.
The other thing that I think they need to have, and this is a little bit more nebulous of a thing to say, is I think that we need to see another step into Japan, right?
Okay.
I think their last couple of showcases, we've seen these things happen. Like we've seen all the Persona games are coming, or all the Yakuza games are coming, right? Like we've seen these steps happen. I just want to see like like one or two games that are coming from Japanese devs that are like, and this is proof that we are continuing to try to move out into that market. Like that's something that I need to see. And I think that more likely, honestly, the Japanese audience needs to see, because I think that they're trying to move in there in a big way. Like we've been hearing that they're trying to acquire Japanese studios and or publishers. And so, yeah, I think that that's one of those things that we need to see, is them just continuing to move forward in that direction. Because I'm not expecting, for it to be some big turnaround where it's like all of a sudden 20 million Xboxes sold in Japan, or like nothing like that's not gonna happen. But maybe the Game Pass subscriber numbers start going up. Maybe we see like, a ton of people in Japan are streaming it through their phone because that's what they do, or like streaming it through their PCs. Although I don't honestly even think that they do a lot of PC gaming in Japan. I think they're pretty much handheld at this point. But we'll see.
Let's not forget, Daniel, to your point, the story that I think a lot of people just kind of gloss over or just completely forgot about is that they have deals with over 100 smaller devs over there.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I don't think we've seen. Yeah, I don't know, but we haven't seen a ton of the fruition of those deals either. 100%. So maybe we get some of that.
I think we'll get some of that here, and I think we'll get the majority of it at TGS. That's where I would expect to see those things.
Oh, for sure.
I also think I love that they're doing a TGS show. That's one I forgot to mention during when I was saying like BlizzCon and stuff. I love it. Like the TGS show has never been like amazing, but it's consistently gotten better every year. And I think that if that continues, then eventually it's going to be like, TGS is the one to watch if you're like a JRPG fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I think Japan is still a vital part of Xbox. They don't
I think
have
it's
a
a vital
big
part of
presence there.
gaming.
Yeah, no, I
Which is
agree.
why I'm
I
so
don't.
shocked
I
to see
mean, they're
PlayStation
so
taking
low, the
steps away
growth
from
is
it.
there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they just get if all they need is a small percentage of their gamers to game and they win, right? They don't
Yes.
have to take over. It's not about
No, they
winning
don't need
Japan.
to
That's
win
not gonna
80%
happen.
of Japan.
Right.
They don't have
But
to
if
do
they
that.
just get a piece, that's
Just-
it, and it's good.
Now, that's why
and then
it's
we start
important.
getting more of those games.
It's why it's important that they get either Sega or Capcom. In my honest
I
opinion.
100% agree. It's not about like a lot of the times I don't even like a lot of these games, but I can see, look, this is like about all gamers, right? This is me not being greedy. I agree with what Daniel's saying. Like Daniel loves these games. I'm not even a big fan of a lot of these games like Personas, but that doesn't mean I don't see the value in getting those studios for
Yeah.
Microsoft as a whole and for other gamers like you guys that might
Mhm.
enjoy that stuff. Like it's very important, I think, for them to finally draw a line in the sand and stop effing around. Don't stop dipping your toes in Japan, coming in and then out. And you gotta be there, man. You have to start buying studios and expanding out.
I
Japan,
will
in my
say
opinion.
this right now. If again, I'm not a business major, folks. I think personally Capcom is doing too well to be acquired. But I've been also told that
Money
that's
talk.
what businesses do. They make a lot of money and they pretty themselves up to be purchased. I think right now, specifically, Japan is incredibly not only important but relevant to the time that we're in because of what happened with Japan, the JFTC approving the deal,
Mhm.
working with the United States government on this trade package that they were putting together. I think if there was any one particular moment in the universe for Xbox to march into Japan and potentially purchase a publisher, it's probably now.
Right, especially with the mobile front and what happens in how Japanese players play games on their phones and
Yes.
getting King under the banner of Microsoft is such a big deal because
Yes.
then they can actually start dipping their toes into the Japanese market more. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. And that's where they're going to make their bank. Mobile
Yeah.
is the key. Mobile
Well,
is
and
the big deal.
The other part of it is we've been seeing, because typically a lot of Japanese games will just skip Xbox as, habit almost, because
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah.
don't even
Mhm.
necessarily think PlayStation is paying off a lot of these studios. I think a lot of them just like don't see Xbox on their street corner, so they don't bother porting it over there,
Mhm.
because they know that like their games are very Asian centric and Xbox traditionally doesn't do very well over there. But I do see, I keep in touch with a lot of like Japanese Twitter accounts and stuff, and I'm trying to like
Mhm.
get a grasp of sort of what the vibe over there is.
Right.
People over
the
there are starting to
feeling,
get real.
Danny, don't
sick
tell
of
me you out there
PlayStation.
reading the kanji. You
I'm-
learned to read the kanji.
A little bit. I can't like. I'm not gonna. Don't
All
ask me
those
to
years
take
of
you to
anime
Japan.
have paid off.
Look, I'm just. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about my problems.
That's funny.
But no, it is very much that thing where I've been seeing more and more people over there are starting to get kind of sick of PlayStation. Like they're feeling a
Mhm.
little bit let down by them because they've moved out of Japan. Like Sony is still a Japanese company, but PlayStation very much not. A lot of the decisions that they're making or basically all the decisions that they're making are focused entirely on the Western audience. They've
Right.
they shut down Japan studios all but, there's just not a lot of groundswell for PlayStation over there. Nintendo obviously still king. He's always going to be king over there.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see, this new the little man, the Series S come in, and people are like, it's really cute. I like the size of it. The games are, hey, did you guys know that Xbox makes games? Like it's this whole
They do.
like it's really this like sort of grassroots right now, but like very
Yeah. I'm seeing it too,
passionate fan
Daniel.
base of Xbox gamers growing over there. The like you can just look at you don't have to take my word for it. You can just look at the Xbox Japan Twitter page and you can see just the engagement numbers rise and rise and rise. Right. So they are making a lot of big steps over there. I think Tango was probably the first really big step to being like, hey, now we actually own brick and mortar in Japan.
Right. They're there. Exactly.
which is a big deal for the Japanese public and for their government especially.
Quite.
Yeah, that's that hurt.
It did. But it's a big deal for the Japanese like governmental bodies to have actual brick and mortar there to be able to say yes, like we're trying to move into Japan, but we are providing jobs for Japanese people.
Exactly,
right? We are paying
dude.
into the Japanese economy, right?
Yep.
Like that's a really big deal for them, right?
Yeah.
So I think I don't necessarily think that it's going to be like this big overnight thing. I honestly would expect to see them buy one or two smaller Japanese studios before a Sega or a Capcom or whatever. Although I do think down the road one of those is probably going to happen, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Capcom, like Boom pointed out, they're doing so well that it wouldn't make sense logically, I guess, to sell. But
unless you come in with money bags, you know what I mean?
I'd be like a soccer player in the streets with my shirt above my head, spinning it like, let's go.
Right, enough money will make anybody sell as far as these companies.
Give them a 40 to 50% premium on top of what their value is. Then you have to ask the shareholders. Then it's about the shareholders, the board, and the board's going to go, no, you guys want to make millions of dollars or no? And who says no to that? Money talks. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, whether they want to sell or not. It's not necessarily about do they want to sell, is if the offer gets thrown out there, how do you say no? I think is more of the better question.
Right. Does anyone here on the panel or in the chat know what the market cap value for Capcom is currently?
I think it's like a single digit billion. You know,
I think it was
like 6. Last time I checked was like $6.5 billion. Like,
was it that low?
I believe now it's at 12. I was talking to somebody the other day about it. I forgot. I think they said 12. But I'll say this: the reason why I say Capcom outside of the legendary IP is Monster Hunter is gigantic in Japan. If Microsoft managed to get that,
so big.
Can you imagine? Like, imagine them getting it. It's like a holiday over there in Japan for games.
Yep.
So getting something like that is the equivalent of a Pokemon for Microsoft in Japan.
Exactly.
This is why I'm saying, get them. It is
a big deal.
Yeah, getting them over Sega to me makes more sense. Sega makes more sense to get because it seems like they would sell faster than Capcom would, right? And they have a better working relationship probably with Microsoft too.
I have something in front of me, guys. This is of as of April 2023. Capcom's current market cap value is $7.72 billion.
Pocket change. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You can literally double their value. Go ahead. I don't care.
Yeah, this according to this is companiesmarketcap.com. They say it's confirmed 7.72 billion, and it makes Capcom the world's 1,769th most valuable company by market cap according to their data.
What? Say it ain't so. That's impossible. But Microsoft will be a monopoly if they buy them.
So in Japan, I think there's 3 options, and all of them are great for different reasons, right? Because you've got the Square, you've got Sega, right? Which is, I think we're all pretty much in agreement that it feels like that's the one that has the history because the original.
You're right. It makes like the most sense, I think.
Yeah. Like we've had all these partnerships forever, and like Sega also isn't doing amazing right now. I mean, they're doing fine, but they're not doing like Capcom good. So like I think that one has the history. That would be like the fairy tale story in terms of just like they're coming home, like the English like to say whenever a soccer is happening. There's or then there's Capcom, which is, in my opinion, and I think most people's opinion, probably the biggest get that they could get in terms of Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Mega Man. Like there's so much going on over in the Capcom camp that would be groundbreaking. And then Square is a mess, an absolute mess. But they're also probably the most likely to be sold to somebody. Because them and Ubisoft, I think, are probably going to be dead in the next 10 years if no one buys them.
I agree 100%. Yeah, maybe even sooner. Maybe even sooner than that.
Watch out for Tencent or Embracer, probably. Yeah, if Sony doesn't get Square and Microsoft doesn't get them, one of those people will get them.
Yeah, the only reason I could see someone not buying Square is because they are just such a mess right now. And, Microsoft does already sort of have their hands full trying to fix ABK. I don't know if they necessarily want to pick up another Square, but just imagine the news articles of being able to be like, so we bought Square, so we own Final Fantasy now, we own Kingdom Hearts, we own Dragon Quest,
Chrono Trigger,
like all of these historical franchises that are traditionally PlayStation centric, they're ours now, so get bent. Like it'd be so good. It'd be so good.
Suck it.
I love that slide. Get bent. Just
Get
throwing it out there
That's
for everyone to get all worked
I mean,
up.
you're not wrong, Daniel. The
Yeah.
PR,
So you can go
the
for
PR
the
for Square
history,
is definitely
the
better.
quality, or the salt, and any of those three,
Yeah.
I'm here for. I'm down.
Yeah.
Well,
for me
it would make
personally,
for
I don't
good
care about the salt,
podcasting.
but
I will definitely say that would make for good podcasting if Capcom is announced January 3rd of 2024. Microsoft, Phil Spencer says, well, we announced to the world that we are now acquiring Capcom. It's going to be Meltdown City. It is going to be people just crying in the streets, and
Oh my
it's
god,
gonna be great.
It's gonna be all
It's
those.
going to be. Could you imagine that the Resident Evil becomes exclusive to Xbox and
Oh my
PC?
God.
Jesus
All those people
Christ,
who've
I
got
would-
the PlayStation buttons tattooed down their arm are gonna
Oh
be
no!
taking
Yeah, a
lasers to
lot
it.
of tattoo removals going on.
and the first game that comes out of this acquisition is the reboot of one of my favorite games, Dino Crisis.
Yes, exactly.
Or Onimusha. I'll take either
Absolutely.
one.
Oh, I
Onimusha.
would love
I want Dino. I want Dino
I was
Crisis.
Dino
just-
Crisis
I
is
love this
another
stuff.
one. Why isn't that out? God damn it!
I know.
God damn you, Capcom.
We got Exo
Um,
Primal. Be happy
that's
with
right.
that.
Yeah, I
true.
guess.
dude.
And that's a
Yeah,
Game
we got
Pass,
Dino Crisis
though.
at home.
Yeah, it's a Game Pass. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, look, this is a great show. We were here, there, and everywhere. We had over 500 people here for the new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I can't not thank you enough for continuing to help the channel grow. We are, again, we're pushing towards the next goal is 13K. We hit 12K early in the year, and we're steadily moving up, more subs than normal, which is great. If you're finding the channel for the first time and you enjoyed the banter, I do this 5 days a week. It's 5 different shows, 5 different panels, all great content. And again, I normally am not negative, but like this morning, I had to talk about the IGN stuff because it really bothered me that a first party game of the importance of Redfall was kind of just.
It's gonna be great.
Was,
it's gonna be great, guys.
It's. I'm gonna quite
I got a
enjoy. I
feeling.
can't wait to play through it because I'm also a fan of Far Cry, and that a lot of people are tired of that Far Cry feel. I hope it's just like Far Cry, to be honest with you, just vampires. I'm okay with that. But let's get to the outros, folks. And we're gonna start first with Infinite Umbra because him and Danny are doing something incredibly special this week, and that is they're launching their duo podcast called The Fix. If you're not already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Both of you guys, please, by all means, drop the link in the chat. Let people know where they can check this new podcast out. That's going to be a zeitgeist type of podcast. It's going to be something that is going to be for everyone. Gaming, anime, film, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Love the work that they do in the community, and I think you guys are going to love subscribing to it. Talk about it, Umbra.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Boom. Hey, so a few of you guys had already subscribed a while ago, so thank you for that. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed, and I
You're welcome.
believe. Thank you. I believe, and I sub to you too, by the way.
I know.
I was gonna say,
Appreciate
but
it.
I think now I'm close to 700 and maybe 50 total subscribers. Which
That's
is pretty good.
amazing, dude. You're gonna hit 1K before once you got you can hit
I know.
1K when you
Don't
launch.
even watch
This
the
is-
video. Just keep going.
Right.
Actually, they
So-
have 2 videos on the channel.
Right. I hit them now, Boom. I hit them. But so listen, we're going live this Thursday, guys, at 7 o'clock. I do want to talk to Danny about
Is that
it, though.
Eastern? Umber?
It's 8 o'clock Eastern. So
Yeah,
we might, I
7
might,
o'clock Central.
we could possibly aim for 6 o'clock, which
Yeah.
will be 7 Eastern, just to say, because that would give us, I think, a bit of a lead over other shows that are kind of airing
It's
at the
definitely
same
going to be
time.
7 this week, though.
Yeah. So, but we'll talk on it and stick with it one way or another. But yeah, so we're going live, and I'll just give you guys a brief little synopsis. We're talking about everything in the geekdoms, the geekdoms of this world. So
Love it.
be
Yeah,
it
like
gaming,
Shaka Khan, we are every kind of nerd.
Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan.
Nerds
So-
rule.
Yes.
Every nerd.
It's all in me. So we'll be talking about gaming, obviously, first and foremost, right? And it'll be probably leaning Microsoft and Xbox because we prefer Xbox. But we'll try to cover other things that's pertinent to no Mac Mount. I don't know if I should unhide your comment, but yeah, yeah. So we'll be talking about gaming, but we'll be talking about all things, be it anime, be it TV shows, be it movies, pop culture in general. We'll be talking all these things, and I mean the focus mainly will be gaming, but we'll talk about all those things because, like you all, we're not just stuck to one thing. We're multifaceted, and I'm sure most of you guys like a lot of different things in media too. So we'll be talking about that, and we would love to have you guys come through and support us and check us out and see if it's worth giving us a subscribe or staying with us, at least subscribed. So yeah, I linked it already in the chat. Thank you all for that. Boom, thank you, brother, for your assistance and of course being on the podcast here.
Listen, it's great to have you here, and anything I can do to help promote you and Danny's new show is my pleasure to do so. Obviously, the whole point of having these amazing panels that I have across 5 different shows is not about growing Double Barrel Gaming. That's happening already. It's to rise and lift up everyone around me who takes the time to be a part of my shows, and I really hope that their exposure here let you find your next favorite podcaster like Umbra, like Daniel McGee, like Retri, and like many other people that we have on a daily basis. And speaking of which, Daniel, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the new show and your YouTube channel. Where can they subscribe?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to primarily just focus on the fix today because we're launching Thursday night, 7 p.m. We're finalizing the topics for it tonight, me and Umbra. It's going to cover all kinds of sort of nerd culture, pop culture, all the sort of things that Umbra's already told you. So click that link in the chat. Umbra really quick drawed it in there as soon as somebody started talking about it because he's fast on the draw like that. And we would love to see you there. You might have to excuse us for any technical foibles or anything that happened the first week or two because we're still figuring it out. But I hope that you'll come by and love it. If you want to subscribe to my channel personally, it's at Daniel McG, or you can follow me on Twitter at Daniel J McG, where I'll be tweeting out all the stuff about the fix, or about my own channel, or about my upstairs neighbor clopping around like a dinosaur, or just whatever, just whatever strikes my fancy that day.
Neighbor upstairs like,
you joke, but it has happened. I would love to see you guys at any of those places. So
nice.
Stop on by.
Yeah, listen, brother, we wish you guys unbelievable success. And speaking of success, let's talk about Retri and Game Pass _daily. This guy works hard, folks. And if you want your best and hottest information off the presses when it comes to Xbox Game Pass, there is no one better to be following on Twitter and subscribe to. And he's also on a Sunday show, a little show called The Gamers Council with Web Dave. That's a great show where it's really community oriented. They take your questions and they run and they go ham on them. Talk about it, brother. Sell your brand, Retri.
I'm going to put in the chat right now. Boom. That's how that works. All right. So Gamers Council, obviously, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like Boom said, we're trying to make a community-based show where we're kind of like Umbra's and Daniel's show where we talk about everything and anything. It's for myself, it's a lot of Xbox-centric stuff, obviously, because I'm a shill. But yeah, if you guys want to come and join us, ask questions, we got Speak Pipe, so we'll take in your voicemails as well. And of course, Game Pass _daily and Game Pass daily on TikTok and YouTube. I left a link to my YouTube page in there. And another thing too, guys, is for community game nights or Discord, I'm going to start, I did a test stream. I'm going to start streaming on the weekends. So if you guys want to see how it is to game with the community and game with us and all the crazy antics that we do, check out our YouTube page. We'll be going live probably Fridays and Saturdays. And I might do some Fortnite, solo Fortnite during the week just because I love Fortnite. And yeah, that's where you guys can follow me and join. I
gotta join you all in one of your game nights, by the way.
You really do. Yeah. It's a ton of fun.
I'm so stuck on mine because we play a lot of them too. So, but yeah, I got to join you all one time for sure.
Yeah, we should probably just like merge, really, just to make the community bigger, man. Just to get more people to play with each other. You know what I mean? For me, it's not about like playing with me. It's about everyone playing with each other. You know what I mean?
Pause.
I was waiting on pause. Y'all play with each other.
Oh my goodness! This turns a rated X.
I don't need to be part of your group.
Well, listen, I have to catch up on a lot of super chats that came in on the back end, and then I'm going to play you I just dropped the link for the merch store. We have 4 new designs going up this week, 2 for X Vlog Live that were done by Sean Labrie, and 2 that Breakfast with Boom. One is new, one is a refresh of the original with an updated look thanks to the Richter. So those 4 designs are going to go up this week. I'm just waiting for final prints on one of them. I think you're going to really dig what these 2 artists brought to the table. Dreadful Sean, generous friend of the program, drops a $5 super chat and says 80 to 85% of the showcase needs to be gameplay or soon to be released. The rest can be future games. I agree. Yeah, I like that. Jonas the Dad, which I read before, he dropped a $2 super chat and says Hi-Fi Rush got shadow dropped. Does Xbox want more of that? And like I said earlier, I do. I hope they do. Brett Bingham drops an additional $2 super chat and says, Shadow Drop Forza Motorsport. That G looked like a 6. Yeah, that's something. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I'm okay with announcing a game on Tuesday and it comes out Friday. It may be different. I do not need a 6-month, 3-year buildup. Yeah, I you know what? I don't know, man. I love the shadow drop stuff. I don't think the difference here, guys, is this is not the traditional market that we all grew up on. It's not buy box and buy a game for said box, and you need to sell 1 million copies or 10 million copies of said game. Because of Xbox Game Pass, they don't have to do that. They simply just have to put out a game and hope that people will subscribe, which works. Jerome TJ drops two super chats more. One of $2. He says, State of Decay has to hit. State of Decay 3. I hope it does. I hope it keeps its multiplayer, originality, but I really want a single player story-driven campaign like a Days Gone.
I do too.
I'm sorry. I the protagonist that they showed,
I like that idea.
In the original, the female protagonist looked very interesting. Obviously, it was a short CG trailer, but she's been in this world a while. I'd love to know about her. That's what I want to know about. And I think, maybe even if I'm going crazy here, and we should talk about this in the future cast. What about creating your character that becomes the main protagonist of the game? So everyone's game is different. The main character is different, and the story is told from your character's eye, but it's single player story driven. I think that is phenomenal. That's what I would want out of State of Decay.
Yeah, why not? MLB The Show does that.
So imagine if they go the extra mile and actually have your protagonist voiced, where you could pick through voice actors.
Oh my god! Like yes, and I'm talking. It's an RPG. You might as well go crazy on it. That's what I say. Jonas the Dad drops an additional $2 super chat and says, if Microsoft got Sega, would they do a show studio deal? I don't know. If it became first party, I would. There's going to come a point Microsoft's going to literally have to have so many shows because that you can't pack an Activision Blizzard King and a Bethesda and an Xbox Game Studios into one show. It's madness. It's just not going to be able to happen. And Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, this is for you, greedy Umbra. Buy Capcom and all of WB and then all of the small studios while they're working with, and then be done. That is more greedy
coming in from my heart.
He said
WB and Capcom. He said on the same page.
He said and then be done. Like, buy all those things.
Buy those things.
I'm with you though. I'm with you. But WB and Capcom, I've been saying it for you.
Those are mine.
At least a year or two now. So
yeah.
We'll see. We will certainly see. But listen, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the generosity that allows for Mrs. Boomstick and I to obviously do the big giveaways, to buy the equipment necessary to run the show. And also, we've spent at least $1,000 this year on artwork alone, just on refreshing the channel and bringing new designs and fresh designs to the merch store that everyone has been asking for. And by the end of the year, we're going to have well over 20 designs because there are a couple in the active development right now. And if you are enjoying the stuff, like I said, go to teespring.com/doublebarrelgaming, type in the code BoomStick at checkout, and you get 15% off of your entire order, and that's going to be ending soon. So hopefully you can get there before that code is pulled by Teespring. And they originally only were offering 10%. We took less of a cut, which is really not that much, but we wanted to give more back to the community, so we upped it. We had the choice of upping it up more, a few percent. We went with the additional 5% to give you 15% off of your total order. And hopefully you are enjoying the designs that come the way of the artists that, Ben Kenobi, who was a guest last week on Xvlog Live, Sean Labrie and the Richter are the three artists that we use to bring all of this to fruition. And of course, folks, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.